All right, let's bring him in. Keagan Stiefel, he's down at Gillette. Patriots with the second pick in the draft, 38th overall, take TreVeyon Henderson, running back out of Ohio State, 5'10", 205, good build, good contact balance, home run hitting back, great in pass pro, good pass catcher, and is coming out of a multiple scheme that overcame a lot of adversity. We'll get into all of it. Played for Chip Kelly at Ohio State, obviously Riley Larkin, who is in the quarterback room in Columbus, is now on this offensive staff as well. Keagan, Trav, what did you make of this pick? At 38, I want to tackle a receiver.
Yeah.
They go running back to back up, going with an offensive lineman around one.
Keegs, you go ahead, because I listen, the kid is a stud for everything George said. I mean, averaged 7.1 yards per carry last season for the Buckeyes of all people. But there were other guys, Keegs, that I mean, Donovan Ezaraku, Mike Green, Luther Burden, who you know I love, Jalen Knoll. I mean, there were a ton of guys on the board.
Arante Ursary.
I mean, but again, this kid is a stud, so I don't want to take away from him. There were just other names that were on the board that I was more intrigued in. But I'm happy with the pick, Keegs. How do you feel?
So people fell in love with the idea of a wide receiver. And I think what we're all failing to realize here is, like, they need help. They just need a weapon.
Yeah.
And in TreVeyon Henderson, you know, I tweeted this out. I think it might be a little strong. So, Ethan, get the clip machine ready. I think this is the most talented player that Josh McDaniels has ever had to work with in that passing down running back role. You know, Kevin Falk, Shane Vereen, Rex Burkhead for a little while, Dion Lewis, James White. This guy has the talent to be better than all of them. And I know that's a lot of pressure to put on 45 minutes after he got drafted, which is where we're sitting here today, but he is that talented. He's coming from that kind of background where in Columbus, he was a superstar recruit. He was their number one running back. And then they started to realize maybe he's not a bell cow. Maybe we need to put him into a role that maximizes his skill set. Chip Kelly comes in. They bring in Quinshad Judkins, and that's exactly what they did. He's going to slide into that exact role here in Foxborough, and I think he's going to hit the ground running.
Yeah, and I think what's big is they dialed back his touches. He averaged just under 11 touches a game this year. And as Trav pointed out, it's not just like he averaged over 7 yards a carry. That was his career high.
Yes.
So he falls in perfect playing with Ramondre Stevenson. That is first and second down is Ramondre Stevenson. Third down is TreVeyon Henderson. Second and long, TreVeyon Henderson. And what they went through with Ohio State, dealing with the injuries up front, they had to change the running scheme as it went along.
That's right.
It was gap zone, pin pulls, counters. Chip Kelly threw the phone book at him. Again, and that was a pro-style offense that they ran. That's why I wanted Chip Kelly in a way to maybe be the OC here. It makes sense to go out and get him. Here's my thing, and Trav mentioned it, but Luther Burden, Donovan Ezaraku, Jalen Knoll were all on the board.
Yes.
They go with the running back at 38. Everything I like about TreVeyon Henderson, you wouldn't get it to the same degree when it comes to the running back. R.J. Harvey, DJ Giddens, Devin Neal, Lakeem Allen, and you could have waited back. I don't think you get the same upside you get if you wait back on a wide receiver. We'll see how the board falls and all that. But I just don't think I just don't love it. At 38 for a team that needs pass catchers, you go with the guy that brings a lot of juice to the offense, can break away runs, great contact balance, good vision, needs to improve there. That's what it is, though, it's a running back you could have gotten later. It's a really deep running back class. It's deeper than the wide receiver class. That's where I go with this pick.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, it's getting caught up in the what's the difference between a running back and a receiver thing. And I think in this offense, in terms of importance to the way Josh McDaniels wants to call a game, he's just as valuable as any of those guys you mentioned would have been in this spot. Because think about the receiver room and kind of how that's set up. Stephon Diggs is going to need touches. And you're going to have Jalen Polk. You're going to want to work him into the offense, and Kendrick Bourne and all these other guys. So Pop Douglas, obviously. So do you want to push them all back a spot and try to fit a rookie in and really revamp the way that you're going to approach these wide receivers? Or you take somebody later on and maybe see if they can fit in, slower than this is. I think with the running back, like I said earlier, TreVeyon Henderson's going to hit the ground running. He's going to be your number 2 running back right away, and he's going to be a really big focal point in this offense. So that's what you want to take with a second-round pick. You don't want to take another project wide receiver like you did last year with Jalen Polk, and we all saw how that turned out. And, some of us still have hope that can get a little bit better for him and he can find a role. there is no hope that TreVeyon Henderson's going to find a role. He has one the second he got drafted. He's going to be an important part of this offense.
I think that's a great point, Keagan, as always from you. Listen, I think a lot of it's culture, too. I mean, we know Vrabel wants a tough, just piss and vinegar type of team, defense and offense, and this is what this is. It's telling us they're going to run the football, and they're going to run it by committee. I ask you this. What does this mean for Ramondre Stevenson? Because I think it's going to be a communal run game like we see the Harbaugh boys do. But every now and again, listen, I mean, John Harbaugh got Derrick Henry, and all of a sudden it wasn't much of a running back by committee anymore, was it? And we'll see what happens with his brother out in L.A. But I think my gut tells me this is going to be a team that collectively runs the ball. I don't think they're done with running backs. I wouldn't be shocked at all if more running backs are drafted later in this draft.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be running back by committee, and we'll see
and that's how it should be.
We'll see where Ramondre kind of fits into that. Is that what you're thinking too, Keagan? Like, what does this mean for Ramondre Stevenson specifically?
Absolutely. If you look at Ramondre Stevenson early in his career, he was splitting touches with Damian Harris.
Right.
And everybody watched him and they thought, wow, this kid's going to be really good. Damian Harris is going to move on once his contract runs out, and Ramondre Stevenson's going to be that guy. And then when he became that guy, you started to see the injuries pop up and the fumbling issues popped up. And you started to realize that maybe he's not the bell cow back that you thought he was going to be. Maybe he needs to be in a committee. You keep him fresh, and he's going to be that to the level that we all saw his rookie season early in his second season. TreVeyon Henderson's going to allow him to be that. And the same thing goes the other way, where TreVeyon Henderson's not going to come in and just take all the touches, because he did that at Ohio State for 2 years. And the Buckeyes realized, like, our offense isn't as good as it needs to be with him in this role. You go get Quinshon Judkins, you reduce the touches, like George said, and he has the best year of his collegiate career in his last season. So having them both together, letting them spell each other, so where they're not running the ball 20 times a game. Each of them are going to get, 14, 16 touches. I think that's huge. And there are three things that TreVeyon Henderson does really well. He's an explosive player. He had more explosive runs than any player in college football over the last 3 seasons. So you have that right there, a guy who can actually run away from people. He's great in pass protection, which the Patriots can't even say that about offensive linemen. So it's nice that they've got a running back who could at least step in there, take a hit for Drake May, maybe keep him alive a little bit. And number 3, he doesn't fumble. Mm-hmm. What does Ramondre Stevenson do? Why was he not on the field late in games last year? Because he keeps putting the ball on the ground. So you found a guy who can do 3 things that your current running back committee can't, and you're adding that to that group. I think this group got so much better. And like I've said time and time again, with the way they're going to use these running backs in this offense, I think the value was there.
Yeah, and it's even Antonio Gibson. If they were to let him go, again, that was past regime, they're saving over $1 million against the cap. They have all this cap room, but the point being is they could save money against a dead cap if they decide to part ways, because TreVeyon Henderson, he eats into the Antonio Gibson role. I mean, that's just what he is. That's what he'll carry on. And it's great that you point out, because when Quinshon Judkins transferred from Ole Miss to Ohio State, the best thing, and you saw it, literally Ohio State dialed back TreVeyon Henderson's touches.
Yeah.
He was a first, second down back. Honestly, the roles would be interchangeable, but that's what Ramondre Stevenson is. He doesn't have that home run hitting speed, but he'll get you 4, 5, 6 yards. He can read the lanes. He can find the holes, and he can get you that tough yardage. And then that was Quinshon Judkins. Then TreVeyon Henderson comes in, you beat up the defense, you tire him out. He's the boom, big run, hits that home run at the end. It makes sense with the fit. I don't love it again, and I'm going to own it. I'm a huge Jalen Noel fan, but then that's a slot. I think if Jaden Higgins, and we saw him go to the Texans right away, 34th overall pick. He wasn't going to fall to 38. I don't think he was going to even make it past 36, to be honest. If Jaden Higgins was on the board, Patriots probably go with him.
Yes.
But once he was off, they looked at their wide receiver room, as you pointed out too, Keagan. It's a depth chart. All these guys inside.
Yep.
Why would we go Luther Burden? A project. Yak monster, but a project. Why would he go Jalen Noel? I think I would go with him anyway, because I would bump out a Jalen Polk, or maybe trade a Kendrick Bourne.
You can go offensive line too, George. I mean,
and he could line up outside.
Could have went right back to O-line.
Yeah. And yes, they could have gone Ante Ursary, who again the Texans picked up. So I like the pick. I do. And it is, they put juice in this offense. And you know what this is saying too? We're not going to get tired. Like you said, Keagan, we're running the effing ball.
Right.
We have a great quarterback, but we're going to set up the play action.
Right.
If I could just talk to the listeners real quick. When we shut down here, the next time you see these two beautiful faces to my left and my right. They're going to be with Sean. I think there's a decent chance that Jalen Noel pick that you wanted or another wide receiver, that could end up being the pick you guys are talking
69,
about. Like,
77.
the way this board is going,
Yep.
a lot of cornerbacks coming off the board right now. The run on corners like we all talked about last night. This is the stuff that happens, right? So you think you need to stretch for a guy at 38, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there at 69 and he's there because, teams have different needs than what you might have thought coming into the draft. So we'll see. I won't be here for it. Unfortunately, I can't laugh in your faces if it ends up being Jalen Noel, but there's a chance there. I think all of these needs that everybody continues to feel that New England has, the wide receiver, edge rusher, I think they can still fill him here on day 2.
I bet the Bears would have taken him if he fell to 39.
As far as Henderson goes, O'Keegs, is there a comp that you like in the NFL? I mean, he reminds me a lot of James Cook, kind of similar build in Buffalo. I think he may be more explosive even than James Cook. Is there someone that Henderson kind of reminds you of currently in the NFL at all?
I think the first name that came to mind is Bucky Irving. If you guys remember, a guy who came out of Oregon last year, and he wasn't really supposed to have. Is it Irvin or Irving?
Irving. No,
you were right.
Okay, all right.
I'm laughing. It's like if you guys remember, it was a year ago.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, but when he came into Tampa Bay, there was a question like, what is his role here? Is he really going to be? They have. Give it to me. Who's the starter? Who was the starter?
In the Bucs?
Rashad White.
Yes.
Yeah, they had Rashad White there, so it was like, what's his role? And then all of a sudden, he ends up being the guy.
Yes.
Not in terms of amount of touches, because Rashad White was still getting his touches, but when you needed to make a play on second or third down, you needed to get back ahead of the chains. Bucky Irvin was coming onto the field because he really is their best running back. So in terms of role, I don't know if the player itself it's a total fit, but in terms of role and how this team is going to use him, I think that's probably the best comp.
Okay. I give him. He doesn't carry the same weight. He's not as athletic, but he's similar to a way to me would be a Kenneth Walker out of Seattle. But again, I don't think he's as explosive. I don't think but he's
right. The power's not there.
Yeah, the power's not there, but the acceleration is, and there's a small hole and he hits it.
I like that.
The multiple schemes he played in, Josh McDaniels is salivating at that. They're going to run the ball. Yep. As you guys know, we're reacting to the picks as they come in, so third round hasn't rolled yet as of the recording of this. Keegan, sorry to break your heart, Femi Oladejo, Titans. Great job by them. Trade back, and they take him,
You see his soul leave his
That's
body,
our guy. George. I wanted him.
The Darius Alexander agenda is still alive, so I have that to look forward to.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. And again, this draft so volatile. I did not see the second round starting how it did. Keegs, appreciate you taking the time while you're down at Gillette. Go get the rest of them. We'll check in with you another time, my man. Thank you.
Thanks, boys.